I'm going to be showing you guys how I did the clutch on this car, how I mounted it to the car, and I did the bracket. I'm going to be showing you guys the template that I used because some of you guys don't have access to the manual car with the cutout and you can't take measurements from that. So I'm going to be trying to give you guys this template that I used right here made out of cardboard and giving you guys the measurements for that. And I'm also going to be explaining the bracket that I used to give the clutch extra stability when you're pressing down on it, because the e-brake used to be where the clutch is, so there's the e-brake stud coming down from the top. I'm going to try to show you guys as best I can in the car, but it's really tight in there, so I'm going to have to use my phone with a flash on it to show you guys best I can. So here's a template I got for that. The stud sits up here and it comes into that, and then for this one you just run a bolt through the clutch mounting bracket and then a nut on top of that, and it kind of sits just like that. What I did was I took a really thin sheet of aluminum and I cut it down to size, and then I bent it, I marked it out. I bent it kind of in an L, and then I cut it out, and then I went over there, marked my holes, drilled my holes, and then test fit it with the nuts and the bolts. And then I took a piece of steel and I bent it by hand in a vise, and then I cut it off with an angle grinder, and then I drilled my holes in it. So this was one of the test pieces that I did for the steel. It's actually the incorrect size, because instead of putting it the correct way, because this is so thin and I made the template with this, it was obviously going to be different when I put the thicker piece on there, so it wouldn't have fit correctly. So I made two just in case, because I didn't make them here. For this one I put it over, and I marked over when my template should have been under, like this, when I marked my holes, so that they would be in the right place because of the thickness. So you see how those holes don't line up? On the other one they do. So if you're going to do it the same way I did, mark it from the back just like this, so that you get the correct places for your holes, and then the thickness doesn't really matter. I really hope that made sense. I feel like I didn't really explain that properly, so if you have any questions, let me know. But it's just some trial and error with this. But in the end, that's exactly what my bracket looks like down there, except the holes are in slightly different spots. So if you guys are looking for some sort of reference, that's about almost 2 inches wide on the top of it. Bottom comes to about 1.5 inches. This little piece here is about 1 inch. And then that piece right there is a little over 1 inch. So those are just some rough estimates. And then for the holes, I would honestly just put this in there and then try to mark them best you can. Honestly, for the holes, I would go in there best you can and try to mark those yourself, because I think that would probably be the most accurate way to get it. And it's honestly not too hard to do. This is actually a pretty easy part of the build to do. I thought it was going to be a lot harder than it was, but it ended up being pretty easy. Also, for the bottom hole in this mounting bracket, it's a little bit smaller, at least in my use, because I did use my own nut and bolt for that. You guys can use whatever size for that one, but for the top stud, that will be a little bit bigger. I can't remember off the top of my head what size that is, but I will go ahead and measure that hole for you guys, so that you guys can get a suggestion on that. For this bottom one, I did use this drill bit here, and it fits perfectly in my hole, and that's a 17/64. So for that hole, that's what I used, and then I think I used one of the, 10mm bolts that was just already on the car. I just reused one of those. Inner diameter of this hole is 0.36 inches. It's 0.36 for inches, and then for millimeters it is 9.3. I honestly don't know if that'll do anything for you guys, but hopefully that helped maybe. Not too sure. So this isn't going to be the most accurate way to do this, but I'm going to give you guys the rough estimates of this piece of cardboard right here. So this whole thing, side to side, is just a little over 4 inches. And then top to bottom would also just be a little over 4 inches. So this is how it's going to go in your car. This little piece will be towards your driver's side door. So I'm going to hopefully give you guys the measurements to these holes as accurately as I possibly can. It's not going to be the best, but hopefully it'll be a little bit of a reference for you guys that don't really have the opportunity to look at another car. So this isn't going to be the most accurate way of doing this, but I hope at least this helps a little bit. You guys can also just bore out the holes a little bit more, and try to get them as best you can. But we got about 1 inch and 7/8 to the middle of that hole, I believe is what we got right there. And I'll have some pictures of this linked in the description too, so you guys can see this a little bit better. You get a better idea of it. And from the left side, measuring over, we got about 3 inches to the middle of that hole right there. And I know these holes are not drilled out properly. I do apologize for that, because it is cardboard. It's very difficult to have these drilled out properly. Just in between 7/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch for that first hole over here on the left. I would just use this as a template, get this down, put it down, and then put your clutch up there to see if this actually lines up. I wouldn't drill any holes before you guys are ready to with this. Just take your time. It's honestly, this is probably the longest part of the car that it took. It took a couple hours to get this template down. I'm also going to give the measurements from this side if that'll help as well. All the measurements for this piece will be in the description with the tape sitting right next to it. So hopefully that can help you guys. So I actually just went ahead and I flipped it just like that so that it's both from the left side of this, and then I measured over from the left side for these holes again. So it's pretty much the same measurement, but you can see the holes a little bit better since they were drilled from this side. And the hole sizes, I can't 100% remember what size those holes were, so you guys might have to try that out on your own, but I do have the step bit still for it. So this step bit pretty much fits through the whole thing, and I believe it did on the other car as well. So I just went ahead and drilled all the way through it, and this ends up being 1 3/8 inches. This comes in a pack of 2 from Harbor Freight. I think it was about $19. And also, when drilling out your spot welds, you can get a spot weld bit from Harbor Freight as well. I think this was maybe $5. It's definitely an interesting way of doing that, but it's probably the cheapest way you're gonna find out to drill out those spot welds. So good luck on getting your e-brake part off. I do have a little bit going over that in another video, and I believe I have some of this mounting gone over in another video too. I'm also gonna give the up and down for these as well in the pictures. So everything should be in those pictures. You guys can go check all those pictures for all those measurements. I'm not gonna talk about the up and down, but you guys can go check those out. So because of how tight that is up there, I honestly can't record it with the GoPro. I had to use my phone with the flash on, and it's still very, very tight up there. So I hope you guys can kind of see what's going on up there with that clutch bracket after I showed it to you guys too. Very tight up there, and it's honestly, that's probably one of the more difficult things I did in this car, was trying to get the nut on that stud. It honestly just takes time. I would put the nut on the e-brake stud first, because you won't be able to get a wrench to that at all, and it'll have to be finger tight. What you'll have to do then is put the nut and bolt on the clutch pedal, and then you'll have to tighten that, and it should put a lot more tension on that bolt that comes out of the e-brake stud, and then that'll have to just hold it in. It's not going to come off. You're not going to be, you know, messing around with this thing a lot. It's just going to be there for the stability. So it should be 100% fine, and it's honestly very, very difficult to get to both of those. So after some time, it is possible. I did do it. Just is very annoying to do. So I hope that helped, having that play right there. And like I said, any questions, let me know. I'll try to help. Also, a little update. A reason I haven't really posted any videos of me driving the car yet is because the weather just got really bad all of a sudden here. There's been a lot of snow, and I haven't really had the chance to drive it. So I'll have to wait for some better weather. I think tomorrow is actually supposed to be a pretty nice day over here, and maybe I can take this out and get a little bit get some videos of me driving it. But I need to finish unwrapping the roof real quick. I unwrapped this to see if there was any paint damage under the roof. A lot of adhesive left behind, but paint looks okay. But yeah, bad weather, no videos for the car. It's also really, really bad in the snow. I did take it out one day. It was kind of fun. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully some actual videos of the car soon. I know I keep saying this. Anyway, see you guys later. Peace.